Pine Pienaar and his fallen Honda did get going before the rest of the traffic started arriving. The Blue Circle racetrack just outside Lichtenburg was doubling up as the start-finish point of the 200-kilometer-long circular course, and some 3 hours into the race, the leaders started to arrive at their pits. Reinecke and Houghton were first on the road, but not necessarily leading, as they had missed the control point at a public road where the competitors had to slow down. This wasn't a disqualifiable transgression and will be corrected later. Just a routine pit stop and no time lost for the championship leaders. The leader at this stage in the special vehicle category was Marius Borain in his Mighty Mag. He was quite pleased with his performance so far.
It's very rough. Some places you really got to look at sharp rocks, and the last 30-40 k's is a high-speed fourth gear.
Next into the pits were Caledon 400 winner Nardus Alberts and Peter Mattia in their Rapsa raceco.
It's kind of rough, and I think the second loop might be kind of slippery, but it's going nicely.
Father and son Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. also had a quick routine pit stop, the pairing having made their way up the field and lying third in the special vehicle category.
Belts on.
Greg Harvey and Boy Stone had a few problems to contend with, while Illman and Stangl were also in a hurry to get going again. Caledon 400 winners Cliff Barker and Hein Lategan on their way again with the BMW M3 engine sounding glorious. Neil Woolridge and Paul Vermaak had no problems to report as the pit crew made sure that everything was hunky-dory before they sent them off to do it all over again.
11 minutes, 12 minutes on the road.
It's quite good. It's quite fast in places, slow in others, but very slippery too.
Gerard and Vic Kalmfer's family were very happy to see them. The Birkin brothers were leading their class, as has become the norm, the pair having won Class E 3 times already this year. Hein Grobler and Charles Wolmerans were happy with their race, while Tony Yeo could only but smile despite their misfortunes.
3 punches, 60 k's out. I've driven 360 k's on this. This is chaos, man.
R.P. Reinecke and Robin Houghton were continuing with their relentless charge, still ahead of the pack on the road, but aware of the fact that their time would be corrected at the end. Marius Borain in his Mighty Mag was dealing with a rocky surface without any problems, leading the special vehicle category. Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. were lying second in their class and third overall at this point, chasing Illman and Stangl. Richard Carolyn encountered the problem many a single-seater faced, wrong slotting, and was grateful to see Barker and Lategan, behind whom he could pick up the route again. Things were getting hectic as Woolridge and Vermaak started catching Harvey and Stone, who were steadily dropping down the field as they struggled with various problems. Coming towards the end of the race, and the final 70 kilometers or so were flat out stuck, which ideally suited Reinecke and Houghton. Andrew and Chris Birkin were still ahead in Class E in their Toyota Hilux Turbo Diesel, 4th among the production vehicles and 10th overall. The Toyota Hilux is a popular vehicle among the off-road fraternity, its rugged reliability making it ideal for the less modified classes in the production vehicle category. Class G championship leaders Hein Grobler and Charles Wolmerans were also in one and doing very well, leading their class and chasing the Birkin brothers for overall position. One of the stalwarts of off-road racing in South Africa is Wolf-Peter Fumfai, a former class champion in his industrial hardware WPP Sturmjager, 7th in the special vehicle category. And back to the pits where the quads had started arriving after completing the first half of the race, led by that man, Wickers van Deventer. First, half a lap of the Blue Circle Raceway before the pit crew can take a look at man and machine. Christo van der Merwe was a frustrated man as he came into the pits, having lost a part of his exhaust pipe early on in the race. This had dropped him down the field and wasn't good news at all for him in his attempt to catch overall championship leader Cornel de Villiers.
Terrein is baie lekker. Ek het net 'n pyp verloor. Dit so die bykant sien as ek te vinnig gaan. En die ouens is op my, jy weet.
Next into the pits was Mark Breckel, who had also dropped down the order in the quad category. We asked him how he felt about the route and about the reason for him losing time.
Just punches. It's very rocky as you get closer to Zerust. Mountainous, and I think I overdid it there a bit and burst the front wheels of the bike a couple of times. So I lost a bit of time.
The faster bikes had moved in between the quads, and with the leaders not experiencing any major problems, they were in and out of the pits in a flash, having just taken aboard some fuel. Elmer Simons was followed in rapid succession by Errol Dalton and Jeffrey Voliter. Evan Pretorius was lying third in the 500 category on his AGA Panasonic Castrol KTM, minutes behind Alfie Cox, but just a few seconds behind Hilton Haywood on a Shimwell's Yamaha. Grant Bloomfield on his Connex Shell Honda was still in the race at this point, but had to withdraw later due to mechanical problems, but no such hard luck was awaiting Pretorius or Carl Leroux. With the bikes completing their pit stops one by one, it was business as usual for local man Wikus van Deventer as he opened up a huge lead in the quad category. Just watch this man fly. Also flying was Alfie Cox, who had taken the overall lead and was dicing here with 250 championship leader Darryl Curtis. Cox was on a 380cc KTM, but Curtis hung on for dear life. Elmer Simons was in a strong position to challenge Curtis for the lead in class, but as far as the championship was concerned, he could only hope for a failure on the part of the points leader. Paul Chomsey on his Natal Protection Services Yamaha was lying second in the quad category, more than half an hour behind Van Deventer. Jeffrey Voliter was second in the 200 class, some 10 minutes behind Rian van der Kerk. Carl Leroux was holding a steady fourth in the 200 class. Christopher van der Merwe wasn't able to solve the problem with his exhaust, but was doing well to hold on to fourth position in the quad category. Quinton Milton was third behind Voliter and van der Kerk in the 200 bike class and was in danger of losing the championship in the final race of the season. Just behind him on the road was local man Karel Swart, riding under the CE Off-Road Cycles banner and doing extremely well by lying third overall among the quads behind Van Deventer and Chomsey. Just another glimpse of a champion in action as Van Deventer flies to the checkered flag. This was the end of the race for the motor vehicles, and it was a highly chuffed Marius Borain who brought his mighty mag to the finish line in first position overall, his second of the season. And Reineke and Houghton brought their Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser to the finish line first, although on corrected time they would be classified third in the production vehicle category. But this was enough for the championship. Lorraine's family were as elated as he, as were the Reinekes. Another good performance by Franz Czepek Senior and Junior, finishing third overall as well as in the special vehicle category. This result also gave them a third place in the championship standings. Across the line came non-finishers Francois Smith and Nick Klaassen, but second overall went to Stanley Illman and Frans Stangl, along with a victory in Class B of the special vehicle category. After corrected time, the production vehicle victory went to Cliff Barker and Hein Latergan in their Pennzoil Land Rover, their second one in a row. We spoke to the winners after the results became clear.
I had no problems, I didn't get out the car, everything went well. There's some fast sections, rocky sections, and you just had to keep the car on the road. If you put a wheel wrong, you might just take a wheel off. It was lovely.
Well, I think it was one of the nicest races that I've had because obviously the weather was ideal, no dust. And this morning, I think the lead changed places amongst 7 cars probably about 7 or 8 times.
8th overall and 5th in the special vehicle category in their Queen Motorspares Raceco was enough for Greg Harvey and Boys Stone to clinch the championship for 1998, their first national title.
Well, it was very nerve-wracking for us. We lost our caliper towards the end of the first loop, so we had only one back caliper. So we just persevered, and the race again was just between myself and Richard. So, you know, when we saw Richard that had a flat and we passed him, then we just tried to maintain staying ahead of him.
So, champagne time for the champions.
We're very glad to be here today because we win the championships again this year, and it's my 6th South African championships. And I think it's Robin's 4th.
In a row.
Yeah, in a row, four in a row. So that's good for Robin.
Vickers van Deventer on his Gulwal Blonde Yamaha over the line first in the quad category, more than 36 minutes ahead.
Ek was so gelukkig, so geseënd met die reën en om so goed te doen vandag. Die hele jaar het my skeef geloop van Dakar af, het niks reg geloop vir my nie. Einde teen laaste het reg gekom. Ek het gedog ek moet nou oppak, ek is te oud om te ry, maar lyk my ek is nog nie te oud om te ry nie.
The battle between 500 championship leader Alfie Cox on the Gulwal Blonde KTM and 250 leader Daryl Curtis on the AGA Panasonic Castrol KTM lasted to the line. Second in class for Curtis, enough to take the title. The class victory went to Elmer Simons on his Connex Shell Honda.
Well, today, you know, I had to basically finish to get my points and win the championship, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking as you're going along, and one spoke broke in the back wheel, and then, you know, I just had Graham in my sights. He was about 30 seconds in front, and then he had a big crash, broke the handlebars, and then I thought, well, from there I must just ride my own race.
Paul Chomsey of Natal Protection Services was second in the quads, ending 5th in the championship, while Christopher Namarva of Joburg Yamaha finished 4th behind Karel Swart. So, Bahrain just less than 10 minutes ahead of Ilman and Stangl in the special vehicle category. Barker and Lategan finished a mere 1 second ahead of Woolridge and Vermaak, with Reineke and Houghton 55 seconds back in 3rd. Alfie Cox was 25 seconds ahead of Simons in the overall motorcycle classification, with Curtis just less than a minute and a half behind in 3rd. Van Deventer walked it in the quad category, with Chomsey and Swart separated by almost 12 minutes. This program was proudly sponsored by